Welcome back to Beyond the Pages. I'm Penny Delaney Cothran. I am speaking with Jerry Sweetland here at Pure Power, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about what makes this gentleman tick. So Jerry, tell me about yourself. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Royal Oak, Michigan, and born and raised very short distance from there in Lake Orion. It's about 45 minutes north of Detroit. Pretty small town. I wouldn't say real rural, but graduated with a class of around 350.
That's big by South Carolina standards.
Could be.
So what were you into as a child? What were your interests?
Sports was a big interest. Basketball specifically. We really grew up watching sports in the mid and late 80s. You had Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
Golden age of the NBA.
That's exactly right. The emergence, obviously, of Michael Jordan. And we had, locally, Detroit had the Bad Boys. So sports was a pretty heavy sport, or a pretty heavy theme in my life when I was younger.
What did you think you wanted to be when you grew up?
My father was a civil engineer, and he always pushed for mechanical. And math and science is something that I was generally a good at or excelled at. So it seemed like a natural fit. So I think from the age I remember, people asking me what I want to do was going to be an engineer. Just so happened I utilized the engineering background to go into management, but it seemed to be a good fit.
Well, tell me about that background. Where did you study?
My undergrad was at Michigan State University as a mechanical engineering bachelor's degree, and then in 2004 was fortunate enough to go to Wake Forest to be able to get my MBA. So a little Midwest, and then come to the South.
A little taste of the South.
That's exactly right.
Well, where did your career begin after Wake Forest?
Really, I've been down here for the most time. So it was back in Detroit. I started after my undergrad at Detroit Diesel.
Okay.
And it's a large engine manufacturing company right really in the outskirts of Detroit. And that's where I started as a supervisor. Frontline supervisor right when I started, so it was pretty interesting to be in charge of a UAW facility, fresh out of school, and there was a little transition period.
How old were you?
I was 23. I had just turned 23, and I've had some internships, but never leadership positions, so it was interesting to try to make your way around the facility and learn how things worked, and you also had to be able to make your mark. So you had to find good mentors and good leaders to help guide you through there.
So take me down your career path. Where did you go from there?
After Detroit Diesel, I got the opportunity here. So I basically came down here in 1999. I drove down on July 4th, see the fireworks over Charlotte. I was coming into my temporary living, and we started on July 5th. I can remember because that was the rude awakening to the southern heat, or the Columbia heat. It was, famously hot. I was 98, and the humidity was probably as close. So that was day one in South Carolina, and I've really been in this facility since then, or in the temporary startup too, but I've had a lot of different positions. So I was in the prototype area, then got to run operations on the manufacturing side for 4 to 5 years. I was a program manager, then I was the manager of all programs for the facility until I got to this position, which has been about 2 years.
Okay. Have you had any great teachers or mentors along the way?
My parents definitely provided a lot of guidance. I'm the youngest of 4. I have 3 older sisters, so I guess you could consider me the baby and the only boy. It was a pretty interesting mix, and provided a good moral compass, taught the ethics of working hard. You have to earn everything. There were obviously some tough lessons, but my parents, Myrna and Jerry, were probably the number one influence. And then once into business, the first CEO here, a man named Farrell Vernon, would probably be the second. He really provided a framework for how I really wanted to lead, which is really people-centric. He always remembered everyone's name and all their kids and spouse, and I always remember that as very important, especially early on, and thinking, just having the ability to connect, and not because you needed to, it's because it's generally what you wanted to, which is really exactly how I thought. And it was really good to see someone like him have that level of success, and he had continued success beyond Pure Power. So that was it was a good reassurance for
Sure.
what I was doing, where I was at, and really what I wanted
He was
to be.
beloved by his employees, but also was able to achieve a certain level of success.
That's right. I mean, there's stereotypes associated with you have to lead in a certain manner in order to be successful. And I think those are obviously changing. There's lots of different types of leaders, but that to me was my first opportunity with someone at that level to see that it just reassured that I could take that path and still be successful.
What was the best piece of advice anyone ever gave you?
Work hard, stay humble or be humble, and get results.
And who told you
that?
those
Was
things?
Farrell. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a pretty basic formula. But the last piece of it is really probably one of the more critical. It's you got to be able to produce at the end of the day, and that's what keeps your career moving.
What advice would you give then to the next generation of manufacturers?
If you look at manufacturing, really is a barometer for how our country is from a health perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and if we're creating more manufacturing jobs and producing goods inside our country, that's a pretty good indicator. And I think to be a part of that and to understand that it's really a people-focused job in manufacturing. You could for those individuals that don't like necessarily at a desk a majority of the time at their desk, you have an opportunity to really be part of this interaction with people and technology and really be in a great environment. And the career path, I think, is really high for manufacturing moving forward. I think there's been a lot of outsourcing, and you see this reshoring activities going on. I think people are realizing some of the benefits of moving to other countries, maybe not as strong as they once understood.
Sure.
It's not popular anymore, and they realize that financially, at the end of the day, it really is not as beneficial as they once thought. So it's good to see
Absolutely.
those trends coming back. So
I love me some
bright
American
future,
made.
bright
yeah.
future, exactly.
So tell me what a typical day is for you here.
I'm generally in around 6:30. First thing I do before even turning the computer on is get out to the shop floor, just kind of take a walk. Like to touch really every area of the plant, try to get a feel. We have a lot of communication boards on the plant, and then you get to interact with people and you get an idea of exactly how we're setting up, our machines running, are they not? If there's any major problems or downtime, you get a get a feel for the flow, exactly what's going to happen, how your day is going to be, or where I really need to prioritize during the course of the day. We have a morning meeting at 8:30, which basically talks about the performance from the previous day, every operation, what our scrap rates were, where we performed well, what we didn't, what action items we have to take into the day. And then throughout the day, it could be various meetings associated with different initiatives, scrap reviews, personnel reviews, different initiatives or future projects that we're working on. Mm-hmm. And you generally conclude the same place you started, as you want to be out on the floor and kind of get a feel for where things are at. We run multiple shifts, so when second shift comes in, you want to make sure that things are okay.
So tell me what I'm looking at right here.
Well, this is a V8 fuel injector. It's probably our biggest revenue generator.
Okay.
It functions by basically real simple principle. These are solenoids. So when you put an electrical charge to it, it pulls basically a valve to be able to open or close. And at the bottom is where the tip goes into the cylinder of the engine. So simply put, it turns on, allows fuel to pass through and build pressure to about 21,000 psi. Excuse me. So at 21,000 psi, it will basically open into the cylinder and atomize, or try to reduce diesel fuel into a smallest particle as possible. So when the compression stroke comes up and ignites the fuel, you want everything to burn properly. And then it stops, and then basically the cycle repeats. So as you're running 2,000 up to 5,000 RPM, you can imagine you're getting an injection moment on every injector, and generally there's 6 to 8 applications inside a single engine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And the other one?
This is also a diesel fuel injector. Same principles behind it, except this uses a piezoelectric, which basically is a ceramic. And when an electronic charge or electric charge is put to it, it deflects about 40 microns. So a human hair is about 90 microns, so you're moving 40 microns, and you're allowing hydraulic movement inside the injector to allow fuel to pass. Same principle, a little bit more advanced. This is a little bit new technology, and what this allows you to do is do multiple injection events in one power stroke.
Interesting.
So this one will deliver one, basically to round off your noise, vibration, and harshness curves, or to be able to improve fuel economy. You can do pre-injections, a main injection, and some post-injections. So as the burn, as it's ignited, there's different wave patterns inside the cylinder to allow it to burn a little bit more efficiently and round off some of the noise impact.
So the result is more power with more efficiency.
That's the general goal.
That's the
It's
general
yeah,
goal.
it's and the tolerances generally associated with diesel fuel injection are sub-micron. So our facility is temperature controlled for to machine less than a micron, and then you have to have gauging systems and temperature stability in order to be able to maintain those environments.
So last question for you. What are you known for around here?
It's hard work, honesty, and I'm not to be unemotional, but I'm very data driven. We make a lot of decisions during the course of the day, and if you come with feelings, that doesn't necessarily indicate you're making the right decision. So in the environment we work in, it'd be the data-based decision making.
I love it.
Yeah.
And that would probably tie back to your dad's telling you to study engineering, stick with the facts.
Absolutely. It doesn't make you dry, it just makes you a little efficient, that's all.
Very good. I love it. Efficient. We're efficient here at Pure Power. Jerry,
Exactly.
thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.